Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning.
A podcast where we share with you great insights about everything family from over 30 years of parenting 7 kids and over a decade of equipping parents through our Crazy Cool Family ministry.
So let us inspire and equip you to build your best family.
Welcome to the podcast, to summer. It is
summertime, summertime.
I love summer.
Yes, you do love
summer.
summer.
I'm a summer fan. I love Texas. I love
Heat.
100 degrees.
Heat. He likes to sweat.
Yes, I do. I'm not a fan of cold, but Madeline, our second daughter, she's just not just mine, and I are this summer fans. She was just telling her kids how...
You don't even know how fun mom can be at summertime.
Our grandson is 5, and she's like, Mom, is summer going to be this fun every weekend? And she goes, oh, you just wait, buddy. You just wait.
Ice cream, snow cones, splash pads, water.
So that's what we're going to talk about today, is capturing your child's heart this summer. Not just, so this isn't a podcast just about how do you make summer fun.
Right.
That's part of it. But really what we want to talk about today is capturing your child's heart this summer. How do you for so many parents, Suzanne, from a mom's perspective, I'm going to talk about it from a working dad's perspective, but working moms too, because but sometimes summer becomes such an inconvenience.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody's got to be taken care of. If the mom's at home, I feel like their deal is all of a sudden I have to take care of these kids more. For working moms, it's like, what am I going to do about additional
Who's going to take care of my kids?
Because the school was doing things, so we get it that it can be perceived as an inconvenience.
Well, and
but what if we redeem it?
Right, exactly. And the days are longer, and so it's when it's kid bedtime, 7, 8, o'clock, whatever time that is, it's still bright as day out there, and
it's hard to get the kids to bed.
Well, and I remember that being your biggest complaint, Don, is that we would all be up, watching a movie or having a good time or whatever, and you'd be like, "When are we going to bed?"
I was like, if you've ever seen what's that show, Phineas and Ferb? There's so many days of summer vacation, and they would go build things. I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm still from a working person's perspective, husband
life
or
goes
wife,
on.
Life doesn't change.
Right.
And all of a sudden you get this.
I think it should. I think all of society should embrace summer vacation. Hours should be shorter at work. But what we're talking about, though, is how do you take summertime, which is, I would say, a very special time that has been given to us almost as a gift that's set apart, that's different. It changes up the routines of school time. And I love school time, too, and I love the rhythm of that as well. But summer, it almost feels like the whole of society, that goes to school from 8 to 4 every day goes... And there's just a little bit of a break. I actually think it's very, very good for children to not be gone from the home all day long, every day, to have a change in rhythm. I love it that there's a change in the teacher with the new school year, and I love it that parents get the opportunity to just spend more time with their kids. I think that's so valuable.
And maybe as a parent, you can just think about, what was summer like for you?
Yes,
exactly. We have a little bit. We grew up in a different world than it is today, but man, summer was fun. Summer was, and we had such time and such energy, and so and as we talk about capturing your child's heart, we're going to talk about 3 ways today to love your child and pursue them this summer, and then just out of that talk about a number of things that go with it. So. Yes.
I was just going to say, the first thing we want you to do, though, is you even set up your summer as it's starting. Then gather your kids and ask them, what do you want summer to look like? What would be your biggest, best summer? And you might not be able to make that happen, whatever it is they say. I want to go to Disney World in Hawaii, and we want to build a playground in the backyard. You might not be able to make their dreams come true.
You got to watch Phineas and Ferb to get that one, right?
You can just say, watch that for sure. And then I just want to say, listen to them.
Yeah.
Listen to them and make a list of the things that you can make happen. Because if there's not a plan, then it's not going to happen. The course that's set before us, it will not happen. And so take this time, and we just want to inspire you and encourage you that this is amazing time that has been set apart, by society to hang out with your kids.
Well, and I think what I would say, that to rephrase that a little bit, is just to be intentional.
Exactly.
Like whatever your method is, like our fun-loving, summer-loving daughter, Madeline, makes a list of like 50 things they're going to do during the summer.
Bucket list. Their summit bucket list.
Summer bucket list. That may not be you, but what is yours? Maybe it's just 3 things. Maybe it's just, or maybe every week we're going to do this, or, but even here, being intentional about summer will help you to not let, so often when we're not intentional at all, it just seems like life runs us over. And then that frustrates us. The relationships can deteriorate. I mean, we get a lot of parents, during summer saying, put these kids back in school. Our relationships are deteriorating because it's because they're not paying attention to them, and they're letting summer be a frustration. And so,
And I just want to say a word here too. If your children, if your children are frustrating you, then summer is the perfect time to get to know them and press into that, into what it is that is frustrating, and how do you press into that? Because of all the people in the world, us parents are the ones that can love and call out and up our children more than anybody else. And so if they're frustrating you, they might be frustrating the school system. And so what are you going to do about it this summer? Yeah. How are you going to fix it, change it, help it?
One of the first things we're going to tell you to do, and we're just going to give you a few phrases here that you can hang on to, and you'll implement them in whatever way God speaks to you about this. Is the first one is just to make a point this summer that you're going to speak a lot more life than death in your kids.
So good.
You're going to decide to speak life.
Yep. Speak more life than death. And so write that down, highlight that, and just think about that. Speak more life than death. So
I even want to say speak a lot more life than death, because remember,
what if we said no death? Yeah. Speak life, period.
100%,
Speak life.
100%. No, maybe
only life.
We'll give you like 98-2. Okay. Well, and the reason we say that is because remember, your negative statements, your death statements are going to be taken as more powerful,
weighted.
They're going to be weighted more powerful than your life statements. So we want you to have a theme this summer of, I'm going to speak life to my kids this summer.
I love it.
And one of the ways, so for me, back to the, what happens, I think, a lot with parents is, I'm going to give you another phrase I think might help you with this. We talked about being intentional. The other thing is embrace the chaos. There is a different season in summer. And so what I had to do as a dad is think, okay, life is going to be different for the next 3 months. That when I go to bed at 10 or 10:30, man, some of those times my kids, they don't have to get up in the morning, and so they're going to be up at midnight or what. And
your 4-year-old,
yeah, and I'm not going to be doing that, and I'm going to be leaving them, or I just had to come to grips with the fact that things are going to change. And so to help you learn to, or help you embrace speaking life, I say embrace the chaos, embrace the fact, going into summer that, hey, the schedule is going to be different and I need to embrace that.
Yep, I love that. And so one of the ways that we'd like to encourage you about speaking more life is, what would it look like if you started with yes instead of no? Like at Crazy Cool Family, we talk about build a world of yes. And so there might be a no somewhere in there. It might be, yes, we can do that later. Yes, we can do that tomorrow. Yes, we can have your friend spend the night on Tuesday, instead of no, your friend can't spend the night, or no, not tonight. And so that's one of the best ways I think that life is given as we speak. It is to give a positive affirmation.
Yeah.
Try to figure out a way to say yes. So many times as parents, we're so quick with the no because we see the bigger picture. We know why it's a good no, because it's a big mess and we don't want to clean it up, because it's going to be bad for our children's health, to eat 4 popsicles, and so the no is big, and we know that. But think about when you were a child. How did you feel when your mother said yes? Mommy, can we go swimming? Yes. Yes. Mommy, can we go outside and play in the front? Yes. Can we go to the park? Yes.
Well,
can we get an ice cream? Yes.
And there's a couple of things with that summer is such a blessing, in that we are so stressed all during the school year with things. You have more time in the summer.
Right.
So
not as many deadlines.
You have more time to make a mess, and also to think about being intentional. Like, for example, okay, is there a place you can go swim? Then when they ask if we can go swimming, yes, we're going to go on Thursday. It's
right.
because you've already not, because so often when our kids ask something that that's one of the things I love the idea of talking to them about it during the first of summer. So now you've kind of set up some possibilities.
Yes.
And now you can more easily say, yes, oh yeah, we're going to go swimming on Thursday. Today's Monday, but it's not today, but we're going to be able to do that because you've already thought about it.
And so I love it to possibilities. Use that word. And so when we talk about speaking life, think possibility. What's the possibility? Because once again, we're so quick to say no because we know all the reasons why. But we want to, what's the possibility of it? Can you? What would it cost you to say yes? And so that's one thing. I mean, and just think about yourself. Don't you like it when people tell you yes versus no? Yeah. When I tell Don I want ice cream and he goes, all right, I said, can we get some ice cream? And he says, yes, I'm so happy.
Yeah, because I am too, actually. But so, and that doesn't have to be, and sometimes, it might be alternatives to no, such as, we can't go swimming today, but let's get the water hose out and we will just, we'll put the sprinkler out. We'll go run in the sprinkler or whatever.
The possibilities?
What is it? What are the alternatives? Remember, time is not, time and messiness in the summer don't have to be such deterrents. They can be. You can come up with ways. And one of the things about summer too, especially if you live in Texas where we are, make water a part of your summer.
Oh, especially.
However,
yes.
Whatever.
Kids love water.
And it's such an easy way, especially with little kids. I mean, literally, it might just be, go buy a slip and slide,
right.
for whatever they cost, $30 at the store, $20. I don't even know how much they cost anymore. But
I don't even know if they make them, and they've probably been liable and sued. You might be aging yourself. A sprinkler. Just start with a sprinkler. Yeah, exactly. A bucket of water will work too. Cups and a. Another way to speak life is to encourage. We say encourage extravagantly. And so encourage means to put courage into them. And so just using, you have the opportunity. You're going to have all day with them if you're staying at home with them. How many times a day can you encourage them? How many times can you speak life into them? I love playing that game now with my grandchildren. I don't remember if I did it with my children or not as much, but with my grandchildren, I just love to watch I love to watch them respond when I say, oh my goodness, you just look so beautiful. That dress is so pretty. Thank you so much for your help. That was so helpful. And just to constantly tell them positive things that they are doing and saying and how they, anyway. So encourage them.
And then for example, if you have your parents involved, is to have them tell the grandparents, their grandparents, what they did, something they did well.
Brag about them.
All about maybe they it might, if they're not in the area, you can FaceTime them and say, hey, just tell Yaya or Grandma or whatever it is about your day.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting the positive vibes going in the house. And, I think, which another thing is just along with this. So we've said speak a lot more life than death. And then along with that, as you're doing that, we want you to invest in making memories. And so the memories you make in the summer are, let's time together, because the memories you make in the summer are about what you say and the feelings you give to your kids.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about investing in memories. I want to add one more thing to speaking about life and death. And I think that it's investing in their identity. And so as parents, we get to do that, and you get to do that all summer long. In school, their coaches and their teachers are investing in their identity. They hand them a test that they've made 100 on, and they've said, you did a good job. You're a good student. They hand them a test that they made a 50 on, and they said, this is bad. You need to do better. And so they're constantly speaking into their identities. So summer is a time that you get to create identity statements. You are a mighty man of God. You're a mighty woman of God. You are so helpful. You're going to be the best husband someday, or wife someday. Oh my goodness, you're so kind to your siblings. Thank you for being so kind. That is so helpful. Or you're so clever. You're so smart. You're so talented. And so I just, as we're talking about speaking into them, start building their identity. So I say all the time, speak forth what is not as if it is. And so if there's something that your child is doing that you don't like, that they're throwing a fit or whatever that they're doing, and you don't want that in them, then speak the opposite of that. Oh, you are so peaceful. You are so, and just speak the opposite of that and calling them up to the actions that you want to do. And you can do that through identity. Okay. And so, what I love about and how those two connect now, Dawn, as you had moved on to our next little point about investing and making memories, know that if you are speaking identity as you are making those memories, they're literally going to be solidified. They're going to go back and they're going to remember a memory that they had from the summer that you have connected with their identity.
One summer the opposite of that. One of the first vacations Suzanne and I ever went on when we were married was to San Antonio, like year 2 of our marriage. And it was an absolute disaster. I mean, we fought the whole time. We didn't get along at all. And, that memory is not associated with good vibes when we do that. So the opposite of that is when you make a memory, when you make a memory of an event, so there's so many opportunities in the summer to make outstanding memories with your kids. And what Suzanne's saying is that so often we go into these memory times, and it doesn't have to be going to Disney World. It can be going to the park.
Yeah.
But we go into it with the best intentions, and by the time we get home, everyone is just so mad, and it's hot, and everybody is so again, so much of it's about being intentional, being prepared. I even think, in the summer, it's hard sometimes to make sure that you're spending time with the Lord because of the difference in schedule and things of,
that's good.
Making sure that you're, as prepared as possible, but then just knowing it's so much of it's about intentionality is you're going into this to make a memory, to pursue the identity of your child, to pursue the relationship of your child or your children. And as you do that, you will just find that you will have more and more success rather than failures. And if you do, so back to her identity statement, one of the things that just makes memories too is even when you mess up, what do you do with that?
Oh, and how do you handle it? Yeah.
It's just to go back to them and say, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. It was hot. Everybody,
was whining, so I joined them.
So-and-so pooped in her pants. It was just a bad situation, but I'm sorry. Let's go have some ice cream, or let's go do this. And there's so many chances to redeem yourself in the summer and make it into something that does turn the memory. Just turn it. If it starts going bad, just relax, apologize, and kids are resilient.
Oh, for sure.
They want to have the fun, and they'll be like, "Sure, Mom, let's go," or "Sure, Dad, let's make it happen."
So let's talk about memories for just a second. So you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, how do I even do that? Like, what would be a memory that I could make, and how do I solidify that? One of the best things to do is go back to your own childhood memories. Donna talked about that too. Go back and remember what you did in the summer. And what was it? What highlighted summer for you? What made summer amazing for you? And do those things. You've already got a track in your brain of what that is. And then I would say the ingredients for an amazing memory would be fun.
Yep.
Laughter, maybe. Would you think? What else do you think? What do you think?
Like, for example, I remember a lot of the memories with my kids being like, for my boys, we played baseball. So it was activity based. We already had some activities going.
Yes, things.
We had scheduled some things, and man, we had practices, and we drove back and forth, and we would go to Sonic after the
something
practice.
Special would make the memory. So fun, laughter, activity. Another one I would say is productivity. I mean, every summer we would start out with, we would either paint the fence, or we would clean out a closet, or I would, recruit 7 small little people to help me do some projects. And, sometimes that's really hard because they're not going to be as productive as you want them to be. So remember, you're not doing it so much for the productivity as you are for making the memory.
Even I remember that, you guys would watch a certain TV show during the summer.
Yes,
exactly. Still to this day,
series.
There's a show called Psych that they still come when the boys come back. They will still watch it because it's something they did during the summer that created a memory.
Or we would watch, like if there was a movie that there were 3 of them, and there was a new one coming out, we would do that, or read a book series together that we'd read. We did Harry Potter. Well, they were much, much older, but so something like that. So that's what we're talking about when you're thinking about making a memory. What are some things that you can do that they will remember? It doesn't have to be a big elaborate vacation. It can be, but it doesn't have to be that. It can literally be home-based.
Remember that one summer that we were flat broke, and so we just made a local vacation. And so we went to we could afford a couple of nights in a hotel, or 2 or 3 nights, I think. And so we didn't even go to like the amusement parks. We went to Samuel Farm, which was a farm that the city owned out in Dallas or whatever. And we went to Whataburger, the fact that they stayed in a hotel was super cool. I mean,
if you've not done that, at least, have the funds to go do that for one night. It's miserable, but you should at least do that. I remember one summer, I was just thought about this. We mapped out all the parks. And so every Tuesday or every Wednesday, whatever, we would go to a different park, take a little picnic lunch. We'd go in the morning before it got too hot, because it gets so hot in Texas. And we would go to a different park. And so just think about that, investing in the memories. What is it that you are putting into their little memories? I call it building a childhood. That's what you're doing. And you only have so many summers to build their childhood. The first 4 or 5 summers, they're not even going to remember. The last several summers, they might have a job and they might work. And so you've only got just a few summers in there. So how are you going to be intentional in making memories for this summer?
Well, and it leads to the last one. So we told you we'd give you 3. So we talked about speaking a lot more life than death, and then investing in making memories. And then the last one is just to choose family first. Mm-hmm. I believe in this day and age, I don't know why we always say this day and age, but anyway, so in this day, in this time, but that we do a lot with friends, and we think about, I need to get them with friends all summer, and friends are great, but family is awesome. And so, and we, what are you doing again about being intentional about having, about doing things with your family?
And so what we said earlier is, remember that summertime is what I would say a gift of time. And what it does is it gives your family space to be with each other. And so, I mean, and like Don said, and I 100% agree, that so many times we are always having the friends over, and we have other people over, and we're inundated with the activities and all the things that we want to be busy, 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 busy. And so I would just encourage you to set aside a day or two each week of the summer where it's just your family. If your kids are not getting along with each other, the best thing you can do is put them in a room to play together, to be creative and have fun together. If you are not getting along with one of your kids, the best thing you can do is to spend quality time with them. You can take them out, or you can play a game with them, or you can do an activity or be productive. Paint their room. I've had each of my kids at one point in time, we would go and we'd pick out paint. They'd get to pick it out and design it, and we would paint their room. And so that was one of the ways
there were some really interesting colors that came out of that.
Because they picked them hot pink, lime green. Yeah. But I spent time with them, and they helped me. And so that's one of the best things you can do.
Well, think about this. So let's say that your family, let's say you got 3 or 4 kids, and they're not getting along well, or you're not getting along well with them, and you're going into the summer and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I dread all this because we're going to be spending more time together and all this stuff. Think about this. What if by the end of the summer, your relationships had healed?
Oh, yeah. And been,
what if you had invested in them, and you saw, what if your goal was, I want to make, first of all, I'm going to be my best. Remember what we tell you, Crazy Cool Family, that the best thing you can do is to present your family the healthiest version of you.
Yeah.
So you say, I'm going to be my best in this, but then I'm going to really pray and then be intentional about putting these relationships together, putting my family together with the goal of, man, by the end of the summer, I want to say that, man, if that relationship was a 4, it's a 7 now. It's probably not going to be a 10. Maybe it won't be perfect.
Maybe.
But it could be a huge breakthrough. You never know. But what is it that I believe that every summer your relationships can improve? That every summer that putting family first brings those bonds together that create what we call, again, at Crazy Cool Family, the culture in your home. How are you building your culture differently? Well, the world says put the kids together. We say put your family together.
Right.
The world says busy them up. We
Activities,
say,
swim lessons,
and that kind of makes
church camp.
And and not that those things are bad, but what if summer is just a slower pace? What if messes are okay a little bit more in the summer? What if we just turn the sprinkler on and let them go and let them get wet and muddy and everything else that happens in the summer?
And so I have a couple thoughts came to mind. One thing that I feel like that we need to address for you that we did not have to deal with our kids, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with it, is technology. And so I know that when kids have free time in today's day and age, they gravitate toward technology, and it becomes and I've heard it from so many parents, and it's a constant battle. It's just a constant battle. And so I would just encourage you to get with your children and build a boundary, or if you will, a plan that, okay, I say you can be on technology for 30 minutes a day, and the kid says, I want to be on technology for 10 hours a day. And so somewhere between that gap, between 30 minutes and 10 hours, you guys pick a time period. And then you say, okay, is it going to be morning, afternoon, evening? And you guys pick a time period, and you pick, is it going to be one time, they're going to do 1 hour now, 1 hour later, or whatever, and build that so that, hear me, mamas, hear me, dads, so that you're not fighting against your child. All you have to do is say, the plan is, the structure
what
is
what we agreed on.
Perfect. Yes. The framework is this, and that's what we're going to do. And then I would encourage you not to use technology as a punishment when they don't. You're not going to, well, if you don't do that, I'm going to take your technology away. Go ahead and make it, whatever they mess up on, make that consequence be the same thing. If they made a mess and they clean it up, they don't miss technology. Well, or if they don't obey all the way right away, then they get the consequence for they have to go to bed earlier or something like that. So anyway, and the only reason I say that is because I just got a vision of it being a struggle for all you mamas out there with the technology.
And maybe it's even incentivized, that technology is something and what is technology? A lot of times, is technology, like, for example, in the summer, they're probably going to watch a little more TV.
Well, the heat of the day, you can't be outside.
But
and it's
what if you, even some of that might be picking the shows that they watch. For example, we've talked about this before on the podcast. There's a deal, I think it's on Netflix, called Storybook, where if we're going to watch this show, we're going to watch this show first, or if you're gonna be on technology, if you're gonna play your games, then let's make sure we're gonna go outside first.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
So you go spend an hour. Y'all have to go find games to play outside. And here, let me help you. Let's think about. Let's dream. What are we gonna do outside? And then maybe we do that in the morning, so in the heat of the day we can have the ability to watch TV or whatever. Just incentivize it. Make it. I so agree with what you're saying, Suzanne. Is that I think technology is such our go-to punishment
of all the things,
and it creates this battle with technology that, and even in the summer, it's a great way to help your children, try to help them see why you think technology is dangerous, or what is the danger of technology. Again, it's a slower pace, so we can have discussions instead of having battles.
Yes.
Have discussions.
Yes.
Take the time, because again, summer's a gift. It's a gift of time. What are you going to do to help it be not a time for a battle, but a time for longer discussions and learning about technology and other things?
Okay, I have one last thing that I want to share, and then
one last
point.
Thing. That's it.
Okay.
After that, no more for you after that.
Actually, unless I have a thought that comes in, I'm going to. Yeah. But I have a request for you parents. On behalf of your children, even though they might not know to ask this, I want to ask them for them. Please put God in their summer. Please allow time. Balance your world and your activity and the things that they do with your God time and your influences and the things you can do. Read Bible stories. Watch shows. Phineas and Ferb. And Phineas and Ferb is not. It's not about God, but balance the good that's coming in versus the world that's coming in. If there is a vacation Bible school, our kids were raised in that. If you've got access to one, do that. If not, then what would it look like to create one of your own? With your kids and their friends or something like that, where you're doing a Bible story every day. Summer camps. We believe in summer camps. Some people think that we might not, because we're saying get your family together. But having your kid go to a week of a Bible, a Bible oriented camp can be a very good experience for them. Yeah, worship music. I mean, how can you get that into your life more, where you're playing it during the day? I just want to encourage you that they need more God. They're during the school year, they're gone from 8 to 5. I mean, they're gone for 8 hours a day, and their little souls are hungry for God. Yeah. And so use this time, this gift of time in the summer, to put God things into. Maybe you guys pick a book to read. Maybe you read John or Matthew, Mark.
How about the Chronicles of Narnia?
Yeah, something that's got some meat to it that points them to God, because it's just so good for their little soul. It's great for their character. It's just good. So yeah. On behalf of your children, even if they think they don't want it, they actually do.
and going back to the technology, so often kids and parents gravitates toward technology because we don't want to invest the time. It's easy. Yeah. Well, sometimes as parents, we have to do the hard things, and even the hard things might also be being intentional about some God things too, because and fighting the world a little bit with that. So, can I wrap up?
Yeah.
And so, as I'm listening to us talk, I feel like kind of a summary is that summer is a gift of time, and in that time, purpose to be intentional about a few things, about speaking life, about going into it prepared for yourself to be prepared, as well as to really embrace the chaos of it's going to be different. It's going to be a little bit chaotic, but you also have more time to do things, to invest in things. And if you're intentional about it, especially in making memories and speaking identity and all the things we talked about, and choosing to put your family together, you will come out with a rewarding summer. And here's the key: are you going to survive summer, or is summer going to be rewarding? And we want you
It's going to be rewarding.
Yes,
You're going to make memories. You're going to speak life. Yes. You're going to choose family first.
That's exactly
rewarding.
Right.
Equals rewarding.
Yes. Hopefully you are inspired to have a very rewarding in summer. And and this is the time. As always, parents, in the summer, go be crazy. crazycoolfamily.com.